I always thought our fourth wedding anniversary would be a moment of happiness, a reflection of the love my wife Emily and I had built over the years, and when she burst through the front door, her cheeks glowing with excitement and her eyes sparkling with joy as she announced that her boss had rewarded us with a fully paid luxury vacation to the Maldives, I felt like all my hard work, all those late nights, and every ounce of sacrifice had finally been recognized. And for a brief moment Daniel, let myself believe in the fairy tale she painted because after all, we both had grinded through years of bills, stressful jobs, and life's endless chaos. So when she jumped into my arms and whispered that this was our chance to reconnect, to be just us, I kissed her forehead and thanked her, grateful for a chance to rekindle our relationship. But as the days progressed and we prepared for the trip, a subtle itch crawled into my chest, a whisper of doubt that I tried to dismiss yet couldn't shake off, especially when I noticed the gleam in her eyes not when she looked at me but whenever her phone buzzed late at night. And although I chalked it up to stress or perhaps excitement for the trip, something inside me, the instinct that had always protected me, kept gnawing at my peace, and as we boarded the flight to the Maldives, I watched her giggle at her phone, quickly typing and locking it when I leaned in, and I smiled like a fool, masking my unease under the disguise of a loving husband. But every laugh she shared with her phone instead of me, every secret glance, every sudden change in her expression, fueled my growing suspicion. So when we finally landed at the paradise of blue waters and overwater villas, I made a silent vow to uncover the truth, but I waited, patient as a lion stalking its prey, because the more unsuspecting she thought I was, the more careless she'd become, and during the first 2 days, she showered me with affection, feeding me tropical fruits, holding my hand as we walked along the shore, initiating more passionate nights than we'd had in months, and for moments, I convinced myself that maybe I was overthinking, maybe this vacation was exactly what we needed, until I caught her disappearing to the resort's lounge late at night, whispering into her phone, giggling in a way she hadn't giggled around me in years, and when I confronted her the next morning she lied, claiming she had called her sister. But I knew her sister hated late-night calls, so that night, while she lay passed out from a few too many cocktails, I gently took her phone, feeling a surge of adrenaline as I guessed the password. Our wedding date, ironically, and my stomach dropped as I uncovered a hidden folder, disguised as work presentations, and within it, hundreds of messages between Emily and her boss, Paul, messages filled with flirtatious emojis, intimate confessions, and worst of all, explicit exchanges about how this trip was a reward for keeping me clueless while they continued their sordid affair behind my back. And I sat there in the moonlit villa, my heart splintering as I read about their secret meetups, their inside jokes about me being oblivious, their plans of Emily spending more overtime at the office while I was at home trusting her blindly. And though every fiber of my being wanted to wake her up and scream, I forced myself to breathe, because a confrontation would just be words. But revenge could be satisfying, calculated, and permanent. So instead, I took photos of every single message, emailed them to myself, and devised a plan, starting by pretending everything was perfect, kissing her with feigned passion, holding her hand, making love to her like nothing was wrong. But I was studying her every move, memorizing every lie, until I had all the proof I needed, and on the 5th day, I arranged for a private snorkeling trip while she relaxed at the spa. And during those hours I contacted one of my friends back home, a cybersecurity expert, who agreed to dig deeper into their communications, and what he found painted an even uglier picture. Hotel receipts from nights she claimed to be working late, explicit photos sent back and forth while I was away visiting my sick mother, voice notes of Emily telling Paul how easily she manipulated me, and plans of Paul promoting Emily to management in return for her personal loyalty. And though my blood boiled, I kept my rage contained, returning to the villa, kissing her forehead, telling her I had arranged another surprise for our final day. A romantic beach dinner followed by a private couples photo session to capture our love. And she giggled, oblivious, playing the doting wife as I secretly finalized my arrangements back home, hiring a divorce attorney, a private investigator, and even booking an appointment with Paul's wife Miranda, a woman I had met briefly at a company dinner but had always suspected knew less than I did. And when we returned home, Emily carried the same fake smile, oblivious to the avalanche heading her way, because within days, my investigator delivered photos of Emily sneaking into Paul's hotel room during lunch breaks, phone records of late-night calls, and damning evidence of company resources being misused for their trysts, and I gathered everything into a neat file, creating not just a divorce case, but a corporate scandal, and before confronting her, I paid a visit to Miranda, who welcomed me with a confused expression that turned to horror as I laid bare every piece of evidence, and together we planned to confront them both at the company's annual gala, where Emily believed I would announce a new business venture. But instead, as I stood on the grand stage, microphone in hand, I played a video montage of the most incriminating evidence. Texts, photos, voice notes and all, and the gasps that echoed through the hall as Paul's face turned pale and Emily's legs buckled. Beneath her were the sweetest music to my ears, but I wasn't done, because as they were escorted out by security, I announced that I had filed lawsuits for emotional damages, corporate fraud, and had provided the board of directors all necessary documents to begin termination proceedings against Paul. And as for Emily, I served her divorce papers right there, in front of everyone she had lied to, cheated with, and disrespected, walking out of the gala with my head held high. And in the weeks that followed, Emily tried to contact me, leaving desperate voicemails, sending tearful emails, begging for a second chance, claiming it was a mistake, but I blocked every number, every email, choosing instead to focus on rebuilding my life, hitting the gym, taking up hobbies I had long abandoned, reconnecting with friends who had drifted away because of my devotion to a toxic marriage, and when the divorce was finalized, the court ruling heavily in my favor due to the overwhelming evidence of infidelity and emotional abuse, I felt a freedom I hadn't experienced in years, and just as the dust settled, I reconnected with an old college friend, Clara, who had always been the kind-hearted, genuine woman I never pursued, and our friendship quickly blossomed into romance, her warmth and honesty healing the wounds Emily had inflicted, and a year later, on our honeymoon in none other than the Maldives, at the very same villa where I had discovered Emily's betrayal, I held Clara close as we watched the sun set, feeling a peace I had thought impossible, and as I glanced at my phone, a final notification popped up. Paul had lost his job, was undergoing a messy divorce, his reputation in shambles, while Emily had been blacklisted from multiple firms, struggling to find